Welcome to Keep the Faith Ministry News. Pope Francis renewed his appeal for a ceasefire in the Middle East and warned against spiraling into an even bigger war at the conclusion of his Sunday Angelus address in the Vatican. Addressing the thousands of faithful gathered in St. Peter's Square after the midday prayer, the Holy Father turned his attention to the war in the Holy Land. Appeal to release hostages. Tomorrow, Pope Francis recalled, will be 1 year since the terrorist attack against the people in Israel, to whom I renew my sympathy. Let us not forget that there are still many hostages in Gaza, for whom, he appealed, I call for their immediate release. Since that day, the Holy Father decried, the Middle East has plunged into ever greater suffering, with destructive military actions that continue to affect the Palestinian population. Humanitarian aid in Gaza. The Pope turned to the great suffering of the people of Gaza and the other territories. These are mostly innocent civilians, all people who must receive all the humanitarian aid they need. Immediate ceasefire. The Pope called for an immediate ceasefire on all fronts, including Lebanon, inviting the faithful to join him in praying for the Lebanese people, especially for the inhabitants of the south, who are forced to leave their villages. I call on the international community, the Pope continued, to put an end to the spiral of vengeance and to stop any more attacks, like the one carried out by Iran a few days ago, which could plunge the region into an even bigger war. All nations, he said, have the right to exist in peace and security, and their territories must not be attacked or invaded. Sovereignty must be respected and guaranteed by dialogue and peace, not hatred and war. Rosary for peace and day of prayer and fasting. In this context, the Pope recalled that later in the day he will travel to Rome's Marian Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore to pray a rosary for peace. Last Wednesday, at the opening Mass of the second session of the Synod on Synodality, Pope Francis announced that he was declaring this October 7th as a day of fasting and prayer for peace in the world. Encouraging faithful to join him in these prayer initiatives, he said, let us unite with the power of good against the diabolical plots of war. Consistory announcement and closeness to flood-affected Bosnia and Herzegovina. Finally, before announcing he would hold an 8th December consistory for the creation of new cardinals in the Vatican, the Holy Father expressed his closeness to those suffering from natural disasters. I am close, he reassured, to the people of Bosnia and Herzegovina affected by the floods. May the Lord, Pope Francis commended, receive the deceased, comfort their families, and sustain those communities. Quote, and in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper, and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the Prince of Princes, but he shall be broken without hand. Daniel 8:23-25. This is Keep the Faith Ministry News. Thank you for watching.